May 21st, 2025. We have a whole list of bullet point. We're going to do some Socratic method teaching here, where I'm just going to ask a whole bunch of questions. We're going to be starting with the... I didn't click that game. Look, my mouse does this. That's the trackpad. Instead of... Even if I click it on the right side of the trackpad, it still acts like I'm clicking the left mouse button, even though that's not the left mouse button, is it? That's the trackpad. That's for movement. That's not for clicking. We're going to be starting with the Murderbot Diaries, and then we're going to go to the books of the Raksura. Or maybe we should do that in reverse, because there's less questions for the book of the Raksura. First one is not a question, it's just a comment that, assuming you've been watching me play this, Martha Wells in the books of the Raksura just dumps like a whole truckload of information on us at once. And most of it is completely fucking unnecessary and redundant. So, by giving it all to us, she's making us waste valuable brain power and memory usage trying to fucking memorize useless shit we don't actually need to know. She dumps not millions, that's exaggeration, but so fucking many names of characters on us. Characters that aren't actually important. They don't matter to the plot, they don't matter to the world building, they don't even matter to the protagonist. But we're expected to memorize them all anyways. Then she gives us a shit ton of information about how these people's culture and species works, and she starts off by lying to us and the protagonist about this by telling us that simply because he has wings, that means he's a warrior. And then that turns out to be a lie because the man is being he's being trafficked because he is not valuable to these people except for the fact that he can make babies for them, because we're doing misogyny but make it about men and now pretend it's progressive. Like, literally, he's literally being trafficked. The only reason his life was spared, if you missed the other one, only reason his life was spared was that people like him, who are referred to as consorts, are... It's so creepy. It's so fucking creepy. They are fertile male-winged Raksura. It's such a fucking creepy way to go about all of this shit. But they are literally property of whatever fertile female winged person just claims them first. Which can be as simple as being the princess of the colony whose fucking grandpa has gone out, found a consort that specifically doesn't know anything about this society or what actual role they're going to be demanding he play in it, and literally lies to him the entire time to trick him into coming back with him into a society where he will have no fucking rights at all and will literally become the sexual property of the princess as soon as he gets there, because they are presenting him with no other fucking choice. They are doing all of this shit completely wrong, even by the standards of their own fucking species. I think the xenomorph is getting mad at me for just sitting here talking, but that's too bad. We're just gonna continue sitting here. Interesting music. Interesting. I like it. Moon. In a well-run Raksuran colony, they still have all of the slavery and caste systems, but they at least treat the slaves a little tiny bit better the consorts, and yes, that's literally what they're called. They're literally called consorts. Unironically, they are still the property of whatever female who decides to keep them first, and the females are called queens, because we're making a pretense about this being based on bees or ants, even though it's definitely not. Oh, look, something's coming to get me. Hi, Xenomorph. No, just sitting in a hole. Yeah, we know. They just do that every now and then. We're just gonna continue this. The game is like, what are you doing? Why are you sitting there? At least we know we can go that way. There is a door down there that goes somewhere to where the xenomorph is. So that took 6 minutes of sitting here for the xenomorph to come and kill us. Good to know. But yeah, consorts are still treated as property and can still be traded like a literal fucking object, because Martha Wells watched the 1994 Stargate movie where Shaori was given to Daniel Jackson, a white man, as a gift, and decided, ooh, we need more of that in fiction. That is so cool. We need more of that. Aren't people being given away as sexual gifts, literally to become the sexual property of the person they're being given to? Isn't that so awesome? It's so cool. Shaori being a fucking piece of meat to be given away to white people is so awesome. So cool. So totally not problematic at all. Totally not dehumanizing, racist, or misogynistic at all. No, it's just totally cool. And we need more of that in fiction. That's why she keeps doing this shit. But she thinks that, well, I'll make the person being given away as sexual property be a man. So that means it's totally fine now and nobody can criticize it for anything. Because she does this a lot. She does this even in her other fantasy series, The Wizard Hunters. It happens in there too. And he literally gets bought. And it's just... And even has the main character from a different world who is buying him, telling him, you can't tell anybody I actually bought you. I will get arrested. You can't tell anybody that you are my property. I will get arrested. And it's just... It's ridiculous. But anyways, any other, like, Martha Wells is so bad at writing. I said we were going to start with Murderbot Diaries. We're doing this instead. Book 1. We only see the Indigo Cloud Court. The Indigo Cloud white supremacist cult, because that's what they act like. We're not calling them that, but that's what they are. And we're just presented with a whole bunch of horrible shit. And you think, okay, I will continue reading. They are a different species, so they're gonna do shit differently. And it's like, okay. But then you get to book 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and however fucking many there are. Like, the last 2 books were like the same story, just kind of chopped in half pretty arbitrarily. So that makes it really hard to remember how many actual separate books there are. It's just the same thing. Like with the Murderbot Diaries. It's very clear. I didn't realize it when we bought book 5 for $35, mistakenly assuming it was book 1. But if you look at like the publishing dates for the first 4 books, book 1 came out in 2017. And then the next 3 books all came out in 2018. Like, I think it was 3 months each apart. So, like, that is so fucking suspicious. and leads many people, and myself now included, to assume that it was all originally one fucking book and then was chopped into pieces like Final Fantasy 15 to make you pay more money and trying to convince you that you're buying a whole separate product instead of just something that was very blatantly chopped out of the game with those swirly scissors that make weird shapes that you play with in kindergarten. Those cookie cutter scissors. Yeah, don't just ignore the giant, very blatant, very explicit gaping hole in the gameplay, guys. Buy this DLC. We promise we didn't cut anything out of the game. Now ignore the giant, gaping DLC shaped hole over there where the character who's starring in the DLC wandered off, said, "I'm gonna go wander off, guys. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I just came back with this cool scar. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. It's fine. If you want to find out, you can buy the DLC for, like, what were they charging for that? Final Fantasy 15 was so fucking terrible that we are never giving Square Enix a single fucking penny of our money ever again, even though we fucking loved the Final Fantasy series. That reminds me, Lightning was in my dream as a robot. That was interesting. I don't remember any of the details, though. There was a robot and mermaids. Something was going on. That was fun. I think it was also set in Final Fantasy X, in like an oceany area. Anyways, that's not relevant. But I just remembered that while saying that. But yeah, just look up the Murderbot Diaries books and publishing dates, and look at it. And look at the prices they're charging for each of those 3 whole entire stories that were all published in 2018. Very, like, exactly evenly published over the year. Is that what you're Googling right now? Okay, I have my twin Googling it right now, so I can just read them off to you. Because it sure is something. And by something, I mean a fucking scam. We got the Xenomorph coming to get us again. Oh no, we'll wait until this is less. Do you hear that Close Encounters of the Third Kind music in there? I do. All Systems Red, Book 1, came out May 2nd, 2017. Book 2 came out May 8th, 2018. I'll just read it because your voice isn't loud enough to carry over here. 3 months later, August 7th, 2018, we got Book 3. October 2nd, 2 months later. Not even 3 months there. 2 months later, on October 2nd, 2018, we got Book 4, Exit Strategy. And then we got another 2 years. 2020, May 2nd, 2020 is when Book 5 came out. And then Fugitive... Oh, there we got the Xenomorph again. In 2021, Book 6 came out. Hi, Xenomorph. This time it took 7 minutes. And then, finally, Book 7 was November 14th, 2023. And then we still haven't gotten a new book yet. And we're probably not going to anytime soon because it's very, 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 very clear that Martha Wells doesn't actually want to write this series. Which is why Book 5, 6, and 7 are all, as I keep describing it, trapped in fucking purgatory. We are in purgatory, folks. 5, 6, and 7. The first 3 books all came out, first 4 books all came out within a year of each other. And then 5, 6, and 7, and we're numbering these by publishing order, not the in-universe order, because Book 6 is a fucking lie. And literally doesn't accomplish one single goddamn thing besides breaking the promise that she made at the end of Book 5. Book 5, 6, and 7 are all trapped in fucking purgatory. If you imagine the first 4 books as a straight line progressing into the future, we hit book 6. And now we're just going in a giant fucking circle. Because first, we have to go back in time to pretend that book 6 accomplishes anything except being a fucking scam. Like, there's literally no character development to be had. Because there can't be any character development because this is set before book 5. Because she didn't actually want to keep the promise she made at the end of book 5 that things would actually progress. So by going back in time and not telling anybody this, I cannot stress enough. There's nothing in book 6 to tell you that we've gone back in time. You are forced to just assume, with all rage and disappointment and absolute sheer bafflement, that the characters have just fucking dropped what they did at the end of book 5 and said, fuck it, we'll do that some other time. We're just going to fucking preservation. We're just going back to preservation for no reason, and we're just gonna ignore all of that shit. It's not in the summary. It's not in a little foreword. There's nothing. There's not even any hints that this is set before book 5. It's just horribly done. Because A, why would you do this in the first place? Why would you make a huge promise at the end of book 5 that things are actually going to progress? And then you come out with book 6 and you just break that promise in so many fucking ways by going back in time so that you don't have to progress the story, the thing you promised to do, and you lie to your audience and trick them into thinking this is what they were waiting for, except you're just throwing everything out. Why would you ever fucking do this? Martha Wells doesn't want to write this series. And then to make it worse, you think, okay, well, maybe she went back in time for book 6, but she can't do that for book 7, can she? No, what she did there was worse. Because we are technically in the future, but she still threw out the entire ending of book 5, so that if you, like me, make the mistake of rereading book 5 before you read book 7, thinking, okay, well, I will be fully caught up, I will be on board with all the timeline, I am prepared. That's one of the worst mistakes you can make. Because book 7 takes book 5 and kind of like chops off the whole ending part so that, and we don't, book 5, it deals with people on a planet. And then we finish dealing with the stuff on that planet, and we go up in a spaceship. We're not on the planet anymore. We're up in space. We're saying, we don't have anything else to do here now. Our job is done. The meme. Our job here is done. But that time they did actually do something about it. So their job is done. We don't need to do this anymore. There's another team coming in that are just gonna finish everything up, and we are free to waltz off into the sunset, everybody. And Murderbot goes and has a conversation with its literal slave owner and says, hey, I want to go hang out with my friend ART. I think that'll be cool. This is something I want to do. I want to go hang out with ART and its crew and maybe make the world a better place by actually doing something to fight back against the evil corporations. Okay, that's how book 5 ends. So you're like me and you make the mistake of rereading this. Here comes the episode. But we get some cool music first. You make the mistake of rereading book 5, like regular fucking people do when a new book in a series comes out and you want to make sure you remember all the relevant details. But book 7 comes in, and we're back on that fucking planet. Like we never left. Oh! Person. There's a person this time. Nope, hiding from the north. Gonna die. Sorry, man. Wait, don't run, that's loud! Be careful! This is interesting. Just stay here, or maybe go that way. Interesting. I like how it's not even going exactly the same way. Book 7 opens, and we're back down on that fucking planet. And we don't get any explanation for this. Even though they'd left the planet, they were getting... Hi! They were getting ready to, like, go into everything. Like, literally waltzing off into the sunset. That's what was going on. This is like... And then book 7 opens and we're just back on the fucking planet. Not, like, no explanation. And we're pretending... Huh?
It seemed like they were pretending that they had just walked amongst each other.
It's just fucking terrible. Like, it's not even the book starts out, we are literally still in the middle of waltzing off into the sunset, and then suddenly there's an explosion behind us, and everybody is screaming for us to help and come back and hurry the fuck back. So we interrupt the waltzing off into the sunset. We don't even get that. It's just the characters were waltzing off into the fucking sunset, paving the way for the future progression we were all promised. And now actually, well, they didn't actually leave the planet at all. You see, you won't get a fucking explanation for this. They're still on the planet. For reasons. And those reasons are redacted. Literally, the book is interspersed for the first 100 goddamn pages. Exactly 100 pages. Because I looked. It's interspersed with Murderbot complaining about everything and saying blah blah blah. Oh, I'm just crying about everything. Not literally crying. I'm just complaining about everything and being useless because, well, redacted. And it's literally in little brackets and shit. So this is why when I got to literally page 20 of the whole book, I said out loud, this is gonna be a Stephen Moffat. Does it have the recording app on there? Or just trying to see if it'll... That's probably too thick, because that's actual leather, not plastic. Well, it's probably fake plastic leather, but you know what I mean. But yeah, if you reread book 5 before you read the book set supposedly immediately after it, it actually makes you more confused. Because at least the people who didn't reread book 5 assume that their confusion is naturally occurring simply because they have forgotten things. And not that the author is horribly fucking mangling any sense of continuity you could have. Because if you can look at the reviews for book 7, which is called System Collapse, which is the book equivalent of fucking clickbait. You can look at the reviews. Even the people who enjoyed the book and gave it 5 stars because they really... People this day have... The 5-star rating things that you're supposed to give regular ass employees have just made people never want to rate anything negatively, even if it was an actual negative experience, because they don't want the regular minimum wage employees who are not actually at fault to get in trouble, even if the company itself fucked up. So they'll just rate you 5 stars. Yeah, they'll just keep rating you highly because they don't want you to get in trouble, and they think that this carries over into book reviews for the same reason. So they, like, even people who hate the book will still give it like 4 or 5 stars, and they'll say this plainly, and it's like, we're not reviewing the McDonald's employees. You're not telling them fire all of your employees by giving a book a low rating. You're telling people don't waste your hard-earned money that you got working at McDonald's and being treated like shit on this book. Because this book literally destroys all sense of continuity. I literally reread the book, said immediately before this, the day before I read it, because I wanted to be 100% on board with anything that was happening and not forget what was happening. And then this literally that was the worst decision ever. Because at least if you go into this without rereading the rest of the series ahead of it, then your confusion seems like it's okay, that's just the result of not rereading the rest of the series before reading the newest book in the series. That's on me. It's not on you. It's not on you. It is 100% the book and the author mangling continuity so that there is no fucking hope of salvation. It would have been so fucking easy to not do this. Literally, just actually pick off where we left off and then have them physically come back to the goddamn planet. But Martha Wells decided no, for some fucking reason decided that wasn't going to happen. Why? And this got past all of these actual professional fucking editors whose entire job is to say, no, author, that's terrible. Don't fucking do that. That's literally their job. Editors are the reason. Professional fucking editors. This is literally their job. It's their job to say, you need to cut out all of these extraneous names. This is so redundant. Why are you making all of your fucking audience memorize all this completely useless shit? Stop throwing in 50 million goddamn character names. This is cluttering your work. This is making the story actively worse. And somehow, all of the Murderbot Diaries have somehow gotten past all of these actual professional editors whose pay time is making the books even more expensive, even more than just the blatant greed of the publishers. $35 is what I paid for book 5. And I looked at the back of book 7 when we got it, and the recommended retail price is $30. I really like that Easter egg. And I like this little peaceful, cutesy, whistly music. Contemplate the stars before the xenomorph comes and rips your face off. I like it. It's like, hey, maybe you should stop sitting there. We're just gonna keep doing this game until I get done this part. But, oh, we got the person hiding again. What if I just walk this way? Let's go look for the xenomorph. But, yeah, so I think they got. Hi, xenomorph. Sorry, I didn't wait. Wrong button. Let me just smack the ground. And we'll just draw the xenomorph here. Or not. I'm not gonna hit anything apparently. Of course, as soon as I try to hit shit, it doesn't work. So book 7 is confusing. Not because you just didn't, dear readers, not just because you didn't reread the whole rest of the series and just simply forgot stuff. No, it's the author not giving a single flying fuck what happened in the books before this, and just like I do count this as a form of lying, because you cannot just literally throw out the entire ending to the book you wrote before this and act like that never happened to make the most confusing book almost all of the fucking people on Goodreads and other websites have ever fucking read. Like, I have never read a book with such a confusing opening. Because it's confusing. Because it's just sheer, like, I don't even think you can call this incompetence, because this goes beyond incompetence. This is something you have to do on purpose. It's not just, I accidentally said something confusing. Like, there's no way you can do something like this and not know that you're throwing out everything that happened in the last book. And also, just don't fucking waste your money on book 7 at all. Not even to buy it used. Because even if you just spend $3 on it, that's gonna be more money than you should. Get it from your fucking library. Or I guess buy it for your library for $3 from a used bookstore, so that nobody else has to waste their money on it. Because, that's the wrong button. Oh well, we're just gonna die again. I'm just wandering around while I talk now. Because nothing happens in this book. It's literally filled with endless nothing.
Wait.
Walking through corridors.
The lab can be separated from the main station. Bring it back online and systems can reconnect.
Okay. Oh, okay, I just sat it down. Okay. I'm not actually doing the continuation yet. I'm still talking. Nothing happens in this fucking book. It shouldn't exist. It literally reads like it was everything that was cut out of book 5. And just... It literally reads like it should have been the second half of book 5. And... not in a good way. Because as I said before, book 5... If you hide in that closet, you'll be safe, man.
Don't think I've seen you around before.
Hide in that closet. Just hang out in there. Hang out under a bed. Wrong button. Let's read this computer term real quick. Clark is dead. Jameson Clark is dead. Last time I saw him, he was using some of the junk around the station to make explosives for protection. I told him to be careful, but when I got back from gathering supplies, there was just explosive damage and blood. I'm on my own now, so I'm going to come to you. Where are you? Elaine.
Last time I trust anyone on this tin can.
AKA, don't misuse explosives and don't throw them too close to you. I do like how well built this space station is, though. It's very sturdy because people can just keep setting off fucking explosions everywhere. We can have gouts of fire streaming endlessly from walls. It doesn't hurt anything else. We're just wandering in circles until we get eaten again. Let's look at the stars. But yeah, Martha Wells. These books are expensive. These books are so fucking expensive. They are so overpriced for the amount of content that you get. Because the first book, most of the first 4 books are like, they're not even 50,000 words each. But you're paying the same price for these that you would an actual full-length novel of at least 3 times 4 times, because we did the fucking math. The first 4 books, you'd have to combine all of the first 4 books to get an actual regular novel-length story. And and as I said, the only reason book 5 is quote-unquote novel length is because it's filled with shit that doesn't actually need to be there, because it's literally just useless filler that accomplishes nothing. Padding the runtime, as we say. Except, like, filler is, like, too nice of a word, because at least if you've watched Bleach, their filler arcs are fun, because it's just the people making the show getting to be creative and having fun with it and telling stories even while we wait for canon to have some more stories for them to tell. So, like, filler is too complimentary for what's in book 5, and padding that runtime, filling out that page count. Let's get in here. I guess I can keep the flashlight on, because we're just gonna let the xenomorph eat us again. Oh, was I supposed to go down there, or is it just telling me to? Is it just telling me, hey, you're not doing anything. Hurry up. What's sort of noise making? Oh, I don't have one. I can make one. Not making noises. Hi. Sorry, Ripley. Yeah. Despite having professional editors that are no doubt part of the excuse for making these books as completely absurdly overpriced as they are, we still get all of these shit that professional editors should be making sure doesn't get into the final product that people are charged an arm and a leg for. Especially in this fucking economy where people don't have fucking money to throw away on overpriced books that are filled with crap that should have been cut out. We have fucking groceries to buy. But no. We still get book 5, which is filled with so much nothingness, where people just sit around and discuss the problem and theorize about the problem, and none of it means anything, and the entire time it's happening you are just mentally fucking begging the characters to get the fuck up and go actually do something, because they're not even having any kind of conversation that benefits the character growth and the character depth, because you can have characters sit around and talk, and that can still be doing something. It just has to be productive conversations. It can teach us more about the world. It can teach us more about the characters. It can build their relationships. But none of that is what is happening here. Especially because it's keeping up the human of the week format, where, like, the human character that is the human of the week in that book is probably never gonna fucking come back, so it doesn't fucking matter. And also, she just said, like, 2 months ago, maybe 3 months, like in February or something, 2025, she just said casually in an interview on YouTube that she doesn't do character development, and that's a feature, not a bug. Unironically, she said this in an interview with a book club. And dear God, I wish the camera had been pointed at the interviewer's face when she said that, because I would love to see the expression on their face when they realized, oh, this author just said that our fucking protagonist is literally never going to grow and develop as a person, and that's a feature, not a bug. That's a quote. It's a feature, not a bug. She literally used those words. The lack of character development and character growth in her writing is a feature, not a bug. Because, and she said in the most condescending way possible, using character development is some people's style of writing, but not all. Can you imagine saying that? Can you imagine any author who's ever, like, actually... Oh my God, I can't imagine fucking saying that. And not to a book club! A book club! You're saying this to a book club of fans of yours asking, hey, I hope we will get to see your character develop because I really like your character and I can't wait to see how it develops. And she's just like, oh, and like, they literally just asking, is Murderbot ever going to change its name to show that it's not still blaming itself for something that's literally not its fault at all? And she's like, no, that's a feature, not a bug, that Murderbot is never going to change as a fucking person. And this also explains why Moon and every other of her protagonists is just the exact same apathetic fucking asshole by the end of the series as they were at the start. The only difference between Murderbot is that Murderbot didn't actually start out as an asshole. It started out as the kind of character who murders other slaves, yes, but it wasn't like specifically being an asshole in the way that it starts very abruptly being until book 3, and then book 4 has Martha Wells lie to us through a character and trying to convince us all retroactively that Murderbot has always been this way. It's always been this mean about everything. It's like, no, it wasn't. You're lying. You can't just... That's not how this works. And it's just infuriating. If I sprint, how loud is that? At least, I will say, at least there's no stamina bar in this game. Can you imagine how terrible that would be? Yeah, yes, oh my god, this was fucking infuriating in book 7. Okay, if you've watched any anime, you'll know what we talk about when run into get stabbed that time. Sorry, Ripley. Book 7, the beginning it's just so terrible. It's so terrible. Oh my god. So we start off the worst fucking way possible by just the characters all being back on the fucking planet again for no reason. And there's nothing here to make this less confusing in any fucking way. I'm gonna just go hide in the closet and see if the xenomorph will still come to kill me after 7 minutes of not doing anything. Yeah, we already said that. Yeah, but that was saying, yeah, the book 7 just seems like it was everything that was originally cut out of book 5. which is a very generous assumption to make, because it doesn't seem like anything that should have been cut out of book 5 was, because the only thing the author and the publisher seemed interested in was putting in as many pages as possible so that they can market it as a novel instead of a novella, so that they could justify charging $35 for a whole bunch of nothing. It's literally the exact same amount of plot and character, which is to say, not much at all, as the first 4 novellas, but extra pages of nothing and extra price for nothing. And book 7 opens in the most purposefully confusing way possible that I literally can't believe any fucking person who has any reputation to maintain as, like, being a professional editor and professional book publisher, who wants to maintain a reputation of any kind of just bare minimum quality assurance. I can't believe they let the opening of book 7 open like that, because it's literally so fucking horrible and so easy to fix. Like, you had to go out of your way to make it this fucking bad. And then we get a whole bunch of conversations about shit that is never properly explained to us. So we get a confusing start, and then it just keeps getting more confusing, and infuriatingly so, because the characters are all just, somebody says something about, we think there might be another colony on the other side of the planet. Like, there's one of the colonists that we met before says this, and then for, like, no goddamn reason, not even after I reread this book a second time the next day, it still doesn't make sense even the second time reading it. Everybody, like, every single character, all of them, and that's a lot of them, there's so many of them, we get, like, a reaction from every single goddamn character responding to this basic statement of, we think there's a second colony over on the other side of this planet. Every single named character, including the ones that shouldn't have names because they don't matter, all of them, like, do the equivalent of, some of them do literally do this, throwing their head back and shaking their hands at their fists in the air while screaming. Like, we go through, like, 7 fucking characters all doing some kind of reaction like this. Like, it's a fucking anime and somebody just said something dramatic in battle, so now we gotta do little colorful pie slices of all of the characters reacting. Except, like, it's fine in anime, because those are actual artists getting to show off, look at this expression I can draw, look how smoothly I can make this transition. That's, like, actual art going on there. And the animators deserve to show off. In this, it's fucking infuriating, because we don't know why the fuck they're reacting this way, and it doesn't even make sense retroactively after you finished reading the book. It's just a reaction for the sake of a reaction, and it doesn't even make sense. And it doesn't make sense. It's just there to add a page count, and it doesn't make sense. Literally. And yeah, so many people, this book is actually what taught me the phrase jump to the shark, because so many people were saying that this is Murderbot jumping the shark that I had to Google it, because I somehow never have heard of that phrase before. But yeah, this book is very, very funny. This book is so bad that it is literally just putting on display everything that has ever been wrong about Martha Wells' writing, and putting it so clearly on display that nobody will ever be able to unsee it when they reread the first part of the Murderbot Diaries. And since she's republishing the rest of her books, they will be unable to not see it when they read Emily in the Hollow World. And dear fucking God, I hope she and her editors are at least going to remove the extremely racist shit from that. Oh my god. Like, if she republishes Emily in the Hollow World without any changes to fix the absurd levels of racist shit, there's no hope for her as a person, and if none at all. Oh my god. Yeah, there's everything that Martha Wells has ever had a problem with in her writing it's exemplified in Murderbot Book 7 System Collapse. We have the nothing happening. We have millions of named characters whose names you don't actually need to know, and the author shouldn't have fucking told you because they don't matter. So the only thing their names do is make you more confused because you are wasting time trying to memorize all this shit you don't need to know. We get, again, lack of descriptions of anything. So let's see if the xenomorph will kill me again. Not sure. I actually didn't look at the time for when we got killed this time. I just want to see, like, what's the time limit on when the xenomorph is going to kill you just for the sake of killing you, because the game developers are like, stop being such a scaredy cat. You're not supposed to be that scared. Go do stuff. Yeah. Like this. Come back? Coming to get me? I do think it would be cool if you just didn't do enough shit. I don't know, eventually, if you just spent all your time hiding and not accomplishing anything, I think it would be cool if, eventually the space station would just get completely overrun with xenomorphs. Because that would just be very fun. It would probably be very complicated, though, because you would just be stuck in the first few levels. But, just a swarm of facehuggers come crawling out of a vent or something like that. Wait, no, I guess they do kind of chase people around now, these days. Yeah, it's kind of weird. What do we think? Whatever. What was I saying? Oh, all of the things on display in Book 7. So we get the whole most confusing opening ever. No even attempt to explain it, and it would have literally been easier to just make it well written than it is to make it terrible. I can't stress to you enough. It's the most simple thing in the world to not make this confusing opening. It doesn't matter. Apparently she signed a contract that she has to write 3 more Murderbot books, so Book 7 is the first one of these 3. And that's why there's going to be 2 more books in the series. And it's going to be hilarious. So we have needlessly confusing for no fucking reason, and if you complain about the confusingness or ask for clarification, the author is gonna call you a fucking idiot and say you're just being bad at reading on purpose. That's literally what she's literally saying, that people are purposefully not understanding the Murderbot Diaries if they're confused about anything in it. And it's like, okay, so you're just a terrible writer, and you can't even take any kind of criticism, but you still want people to shell out absurd amounts of money to pay for your books, and then you'll just call them stupid if they ask you questions about the books. Okay. Needlessly confusing for no reason, because she refuses to just explain shit. It would have been so simple. Have this book open just a few seconds later, after the characters start waltzing off into the sunset, and then suddenly there was an explosion and alarms were going off everywhere and blah blah blah. Quick, come back to the planet, something's wrong! And then we rush back to the planet and continue with whatever the shit is going on in this book, which is nothing. Oh, well, it's not nothing, but you'll see. We get millions of characters whose names are just thrown around as though you already know them. The biggest fucking, what is the word I'm looking for? The biggest example of this in this book is that one of the humans of the week in this book is named Tariq. And Tariq just kind of appears and is treated like we all already know who he is. Like we don't need to be introduced to him in any way or even just get a reminder of who he is. He's just kind of there, and Martha Wells acts like you already know who he is. So a lot of people, if you can look at the reviews, I highly recommend it. A lot of people were like, I guess I don't remember the rest of the series as well as I thought I did, because I seem to have forgotten a whole entire, like, main character. I have no recollection of Tariq at all. But I'll tell you why that is. It's because Tariq did appear in book 5 as a background character who had a name and said exactly 18 words of dialogue spread out throughout, like, the whole second half of that obnoxiously filled with nothing book. 18 words of dialogue total. Like 18 separate words. That's all he said. And he played no role in that story at all. He's literally just one of the dozens of background characters that has a name for no good fucking reason. And then we just act like he's a main character in book 7 that everybody already knows who he is. We know all about him. We don't need to be introduced to him. He and Murderbot don't need to, like, actually meet or anything. We're saying, like, hi, I'm Tariq. I don't know if you actually know my name. You kind of rescued me back there. We didn't really get to interact much. That's all it would take. But no, he's just there, and we're just saying his name casually, talking about him casually, as though everybody already knows who he is, even though he was literally just a background character. This is like taking a random fish from SpongeBob who it's not even one of the reoccurring fish, just a random fucking fish in SpongeBob, and then suddenly having that fish be the, like, interacting with SpongeBob and everybody else like we know who they are, and like they've actually totally been friends this whole time. You just didn't notice because you weren't paying enough attention. That's what's going on here. And God, there's so many things. The lack of meaningful descriptions of anything. The blatant tokenization of explicit non-binary human characters. And, like, just the fact that there's so many goddamn names you have to remember. I don't even remember the name of this token non-binary human character. Or even what pronouns they use. Because there's so many other goddamn names that are thrown at us in just this book alone that even though I read it twice, I can't even tell you what letter the neo-pronouns start with. Or what letter the name starts with, because we literally are just given so many goddamn names. And Martha Wells has been doing this shit ever since she started writing. She does not seem to understand that you shouldn't be giving names to every single character. The only characters that should have names that we repeatedly get told should be characters that actually matter to the story. We don't need to know the waitress's name at the goddamn restaurant that your characters are going to one time unless that character is going to actually do something meaningful in any way. But she just wants you to memorize every single fucking name, no matter how completely unimportant that character is. Oh, I have to put my food away. You can talk quick. I'm leaving in 2 minutes. I'm putting my food away. If the xenomorph eats me, oh well. We'll hide in the locker again and then keep another timer to see how long it takes it to kill us. a thing that got off topic that I'll talk about for the next 60 seconds before I gotta leave for the day. Books of the Raksura and Murderbot in general. Martha Wells is very bad at conveying information to the audience in a understandable and concise way. That an example of what not to do is her dumping the entire truckload of Raksura species encased and classism information on the reader all at once, with no time to actually absorb that information or sort through it and parse it. And meanwhile, Alien Isolation, as you've been watching, if you've been watching the videos, is slowly introducing these very small physical mini-games, such as the door unlocker, where you have to select the puzzle pieces to unlock the door, where you have to make certain motions with a controller, or in this case a keyboard, to open up a door. You have to press buttons at certain times to do a quick action to climb up a exploding thing.
And they're not mean about it either.
And they're not mean about it either. And it's introducing these one at a time at a gradual pace, so that as you get through these new things and as you become used to them, you're learning how to do it, and you're able to do more of them after each other at a time, until you get to the climax where instead of you having to do all of these things for the first time while you've got 50 million fucking xenomorphs or Seegson androids behind you ready to fucking kill you, comma, oh, I don't need a comma, I'm not using text-to-speech. Instead of that being the first time you get it, you're getting it slowly and gradually, so that you, the player, have time to learn these things and have confidence in doing these things, so that when you get to the climax and you've got to do 5 of these things at once while explosions are going off and you've got fucking enemies lined up behind you ready to take your head off and eat you, you can actually, you're tense, it's suspenseful, you are terrified, but you can do it, and you get such a satisfied, fulfilling sense of accomplishment and adrenaline when you manage to do all of these things. Snap, snap, snap. Right, 1, 2, 3, go. And then you're sprinting through that doorway to save the world or whatever. And this is how you do it properly. Are we being... Yeah. But this game is how you introduce concepts and information to your readers, or in this case, players. It's the same thing applies to books. You can't just dump an entire mountain of information onto your reader all at once, never really expand on it, and then just expect... Never give them any reminders, never give them any context, never give them any expansion in the actual universe that makes sense in conversations or observations, and then expect it to stick in your reader's mind. Meanwhile, Alien Isolation does it perfectly. It does it slowly and gradually, so that you have time to learn all of these things properly and absorb it and parse it, and gets to be an instinctive level almost of understanding, so that you can do it all at once. She just dumps it. When she bothers to have any kind of world building, she just dumps it on you all at once in one big info dump of things where you're not even given time to actually parse it, because you were previously told a lie that you were just told was a lie. And then you don't even... Yeah, it's not even a fun kind of info dump. And it's just really bad. And if your novel gets rejected by like multiple publishers and they're telling you it is too confusing of a read, and you're not even gonna take that as actual genuine feedback from professionals, that you should go in and simplify some things, cut out some of the redundant fluff, cut out some of the completely and utterly unnecessary details that mean nothing.
Why does that guy exist?
Yeah. Bye. Yeah. Also, the stupid phone decided, oh, I'm going to pause the recording for no reason. So some of the transcript is going to be obnoxious. Yeah. What was I saying before? Let me scroll up. There's so many things wrong with book 7 in such glaring ways that I mean, the numbers of people reading the series have been going down. Maybe geometrically is the word I'm looking for. Have been decreasing with every book that comes out because it's just the same thing over and over and over again, and nothing is being accomplished. And book 7 is so many people's final straw because, as they say, it is jumping the shark. And now that Martha Wells has put all of the flaws her writing has ever had on display so blatantly, nobody's ever going to be able to unsee it, even if they're still telling themselves the series is good and they still enjoy it right now. When they reread these books, they're not going to be able to help noticing that we don't get any world building. Why are there so many characters here whose names I'm supposed to memorize? Why is the game acting like I already know these people? Especially if they reread her other series. Doing all this again, just for the heck of it.
Wait.
The lab can be separated from the main station. Bring it back online and systems can reconnect.
We gotta get killed by the Xenomorph at least one more time. Xenomorph said, "Hey, be quiet." See if we can smack it? Nope, can't even smack it. Sorry, lady. Okay, this time I'll be taking it seriously, which is why I'm pausing it. But nobody who has read Book 7 of the Murderbot Diaries will be able to unsee all of the problems that it puts on display. They will not be able to unsee the fact that this series is going nowhere fast. They might not understand, they might not make the connections between book 5 and 6 and now 7, going in an endless circle, spinning its wheels, going nowhere. But many people have realized, okay, this series is never going to be what it was promised to me that it would be. Because as I've said, the inherent promise you make by starting out with a premise, like an enslaved robot gets its freedom, the inherent promise you are making with that premise is we will see justice for the enslaved people in this series. There will at least be attempts at justice. That's the promise you are making when you write a story about enslaved people. You are promising that the slaves will either get their freedom or fucking die fighting for it. Either one of these options. Preferably they win. But it could be a story about just one of the people who did not survive to see the end of slavery. People die. It could have been that, but it's not even doing that. Not even saying, this person did not make it, but they made the world a better place and have driven us one step closer to victory. Not even that. It's just going nowhere. We're not even going to pretend to give a shit about slavery. We're 7 whole entire books in, and the protagonist still is just murdering other enslaved people. And the author just wants you to be fine with this. Because the author doesn't give a fuck about slavery at all. It's literally just set dressing. You're not supposed to give a shit about any fucking person in this setting that is not the protagonist or one of the pure cinnamon roll slave owners. Yeah, as I've said, Murderbot, the only reason Murderbot starts out a slave and is still a slave, but we're supposed to pretend it's not anymore. The only reason Murderbot is a slave is because that makes you automatically sympathize with it. Kind of like Alien Romulus. Hold on, let me turn these lights off. We don't need all these lights on. Yeah. The only reason Murderbot is a slave at all is because it gives you automatic sympathy points for it. This is why every single one of Martha Wells' protagonists has a tragic backstory of some kind. Because it gives you free sympathy. Because it just automatically makes you want to sympathize with them. Because there's nothing else for the character, if not for this tragic backstory, that would make you particularly sympathetic. If Murderbot were not a slave, would you find it nearly as sympathetic for how it keeps murdering other slaves and explicitly, maliciously going out of its way to do so? I don't fucking think so. So, she has to give them all tragic backstories so that you sympathize with them and are willing to forgive more than you would if they weren't already inherently sympathetic. And I say Alien Romulus. We're playing Alien Isolation, but Alien Romulus is not a good movie. We have a whole bunch of characters that are flat as fucking cardboard, get zero personality. There's too many of them. I can't tell any of them apart. I don't know any of their names. And people act like, well, you have to sympathize with them, because they're in a sympathetic position, and it's like, that's exactly what Martha Wells is doing, but Alien Romulus fails at it because there's just so many characters, and I can't tell them apart, and none of them have even enough characterization outside of the very blatant archetypes. Hold on. They have no personalities outside of the blatant horror archetypes that they've all just been slotted into for you to care about any of them. I don't know any of their names. I can't tell you any of their personality traits. They're flat as cardboard. And there's nothing to make up for it. There's not enough personality to really dislike them. Besides, like, the one guy whose archetype is being and Alien Romulus also doesn't understand how oppression works, because we have a robot character in that, one of the synthetics, like from this and like from the original Alien movie, and this android is black and very heavily autistic coded because he's malfunctioning. And one of the human characters, his whole thing is being racist, ableist, and it's like, okay, but it's such a bad movie. It's such a bad movie. It does not understand what racism and ableism are, because it's racist and ableist, but then it's saying that oppressed people, black autistic men, are actually dangerous and you should be scared of them because somebody could just switch out their malfunctioning chip that makes them a nice but autistic person and turns them into a super efficient uh, uh, company man thing that will just put you in danger and all of this crap. And it's like, guys, that's not how oppression works. You can't, and this is exactly what Martha Wells is doing in the Murderbot Diaries, because she's once again made the oppressed people completely fucking overpowered. And if Murderbot wanted to go around just murdering people, there would be nothing anybody could do to stop it, because it can kill like 10 humans in 5 seconds. You can't stop it with bullets. You can't stop it with energy weapons. You can't stop it with knives. There would be very, very fucking little that you could do to stop Murderbot from actually murdering everybody if it wanted to. Because A, Martha Wells doesn't understand how oppression works, and B, Martha Wells always wants her protagonists to be the coolest, most unstoppably overpowered Mary Sues in existence. And yes, I'm using the word Mary Sue on purpose, because have I mentioned that despite Martha Wells being a woman and loving to do pseudo-feminist shit, she's really fucking misogynistic with her writing? Like, let's ignore all the major misogynistic things for just a moment and just let's look at the most basic thing ever. Why is her new series about a male character? Like, would it kill you to write about female characters? It's like such a basic thing. Like, there's nothing wrong with having male characters, male protagonists, but it sure is a fucking thing when you consistently have more male characters, and the only time that a female character gets to narrate at all is if she's already sharing the story with a male narrator. But then she'll have whole entire books where there's a male protagonist who doesn't have to share the story with anybody. And it's just such a basic fucking thing of misogyny. It's like the bare minimum is having female characters who actually fucking matter. Like, I think I've mentioned it, but in the books of the Raksura, Jade is Moon's fucking owner because she's the queen who decided that consort there belongs to me. He's mine now. She has no personality. Literally no personality. I could not tell you a single thing about Jade's personality because she doesn't have one. She just does whatever the plot requires to move the plot forward. She has no personality. Her mom has personality. Her mom is a fucking fascist dictator. That's a personality. Jade? Nothing. She's not a coward, but she's also not anything enough to actually stand up for her mom and overthrow her. It's just there's just nothing there. Which is why I've never written fan fiction for the books of Raksura, because I would have to make up every single aspect of these characters' personalities because there's literally nothing to work with. I literally can't tell you a single thing about Jade. She's just whatever the plot requires, and nothing more. It's absurd. And it's like, I did forget to mention another thing of Martha Wells' writing that's exemplified in book 7 of the books of the the Murderbot Diaries is I'll just push play and let the xenomorph kill us again. So we have something to watch. No, there's no stakes. Nothing will ever matter in this series because there's no actual danger that the characters are ever actually in. Any injuries will be magically healed. Any characters we care about, that are human characters at least, they won't die. Martha Wells has no problem with killing off enslaved characters, especially if they are dying to protect their slave owners, because she really fucking loves that. Not that we're actually gonna stay, probably. I guess we can just hide in this locker. And then continue with an extra sensor. Yeah, she fucking hates physically disabled people and will never let any of her characters become physically disabled. So anytime there's a fight, we have to have dramatic, super crazy injuries all the time, because cheap drama, because she doesn't know how to actually do regular drama, like natural drama, real drama that actually matters. So she'll just have Murderbot get into a fight and get exploded and all of this horrible shit, and we're supposed to be upset by it, but then like 5 pages later it'll all get magically healed. There won't even be any scars. There will be literally no indication that fight ever happened. Murderbot's not even traumatized by it. It's just there for the 5 seconds we needed the cheap drama, and then it's gone. And it seems like maybe people were criticizing her for this in the books of the Raksura, because like in this, maybe the last book, as I said, the last 2 books in the books of the Raksura are like very explicitly the same story, chopped in half. So I don't remember which one it happens in, but I guess people were really, really criticizing her for that in the books of the Raksura and pushing her to actually have some fucking shit that matters. So what did she decide to do? She decides to kill off a background female character who's not important to the plot. She's not important to the world. She's not important to any of the main characters. And just kills her off randomly. And you want to know why? To make another, he's like a side character. To make a male side character sad and angsty. She literally decided, okay, you want stakes, I'll kill off a female character from the background to give man pain to this male side character who also doesn't actually fucking matter. Like she did the misogynistic thing. She fridged a female character to make a male character sad. And it's not even the actual protagonist. It's not even actually anybody that matters to the story. So it's still not fixing the fucking problem of there's no stakes. She just added more misogyny in. Like the most blatant, basic example of misogyny in writing. She just killed off a female character for no other purpose than to make a male character sad. And neither of them are actually important to the plot. She just did misogyny and didn't actually fix the problem that people were criticizing her for, which is that every single fight gets magically fixed with literal magic before anything can come of it at all. So there's no stakes. And you keep telling us that the villains, the racist caricature villains, you keep telling us they're super scary and terrifying, and then you literally have every single protagonist, no matter how physically weak they're supposed to be, just tearing through them like paper. Like, there's one of the scary racist caricature villains. They have a bunch of different types, just like the Raksura do, because they also have a caste system. One of the scariest ones, we're told, is called a ruler, and if you fight one, you just have to run away and fly away, because you'll die if you fight them. And then we just get told casually that one of the good guys, another side character named Balm, who has a whole lot of shit going on with her that we're not supposed to acknowledge. I'll talk about that. Let me write that on my arm and marker. R.I.P. to Balm. She doesn't die. You'll see. You'll see why. We're just casually told that she fought a ruler, even though she's one of the people that's not supposed to be that physically strong and is especially one of the people who should be flying the fuck away and running for your life. No, she managed to take down a ruler all by herself. And this, after we've had 5/ maybe 6 books telling us over and over again that the rulers are terrifying and scary and unstoppable, but Martha Wells doesn't ever actually want to let her characters lose, including the side characters, and they can't become physically disabled. So, what kind of injuries does Balm come away with from this boss fight, as it was presented to us, that just happened in the background, in some throwaway lines? Is she, I don't know, let's go through. She has wings, she has a tail, she's got 2 arms and 2 legs. She just had a boss fight all by herself. Do we think maybe one of her wings was broken? Maybe one of her wings got shredded? ? Maybe she broke her arm and a leg. Maybe her tail got cut off. Maybe her tail got broken. Anything like this? Broken ribs, maybe? Punctured lung? We know they do have lungs. Maybe she got a concussion from getting her head slammed into a rock or something. Anything? Anything? Maybe she lost an arm. Maybe the boss fight literally just bit off her arm or something like that. Maybe she's missing a chunk of her neck from the guy trying to bite out her throat. Maybe she loses a shit ton of blood and almost fucking dies, and then has to spend months recovering. I don't know how long it takes to recover from blood loss. Nope. You want to know what happens? You want to know what injuries she got from this boss fight that she did all by herself, even though we were told that this should be impossible? She got some scratches on her arm. That's arm, singular, not plural. Scratches on her arm. I think this music might be the game telling me that the xenomorph is now gonna kill us for the sake of killing us, but let's see. We'll find out. And this time I'll set a stopwatch on the other phone. I think it's interesting. We're doing research. Yep, you gonna come over here? I guess I should pull back just to see. I don't know if pulling actually away from the thing makes it less likely to detect you. But I think that music is okay, we're gonna kill you now, because you're too much of a scaredy cat. Are we doing that? Maybe not. Okay. She got some scratches on her arm. Not both arms even, just one arm. And they're just scratches. They're not bone deep gouges or anything. They're just scratches. Like she just picked up a cat that didn't want to be picked up. She's just got some scratches on her arm from single-handedly taking down a boss that we were told that everybody should be terrified of. And is this a revelation that actually they're not that fucking scary and they actually don't know how to fight and sabotage themselves and are just relying on their reputation of being scary, but they're actually really bad at actually being a threat? Anything like that? Nope, it's just bad writing. We just keep getting told that they're scary, and then the protagonists just keep beating them at literally every single fight they ever have. But we just gotta keep getting told that they're scary and are totally a threat for cheap drama, even though it never ever actually does anything because because Martha Wells doesn't want her characters to lose ever in any way that actually matters. So they can never actually lose a fight. They can't and she considers being physically disabled to be a form of losing, which is why none of her fucking protagonists will ever suffer permanent injuries, no matter what shit they go through. It's why Murderbot, 7 whole fucking books in, has 0 scars or loss of functionality, no matter how many times it gets its arms blown up, no matter how many times it gets shot in the leg, no matter anything. It's just 100% fine because we use magical healing technology. Because, reasons. Even though none of that should make sense if this were actually a story that's anti-capitalism and making critiques of capitalism and all of this shit. It's so bad. And also, before I end this video, because it's getting to an hour and a half and I bet YouTube is gonna say, no, I can't upload that even though it's the exact same format as all the other ones. It keeps doing that, and it's fucking infuriating. The other thing about Balm that we need to talk about is that Martha Wells in book 1 establishes a few things about Raksuran society, and this is that queens and consorts are expected to have, no pun intended, consorts. They're supposed to have a sexual partner on the side of their actual official queen or consort, and they're supposed to sleep with a warrior of the same sex as themselves. And this warrior is exclusively referred to as their favorite. That's the only context the word favorite is used within their society. If you have a favorite warrior, that means that's the warrior you are having sex with on the side. I'm gonna have to talk about River in the next video. Let me write that down. With Balm, we're told multiple times in book 1 that she is Jade's favorite warrior. We find out later that the word favorite explicitly refers to a sexual relationship. Jade and Balm are both the same sex. Jade's the queen, Balm is the warrior. So, when we're told that Balm is Jade's favorite warrior, that means that Jade and Balm are having sex together. That's what that means. That's literally what the word favorite means in this society. Except, there's a problem here. They're sisters. Jade and Balm are sisters that are having sex together. And it's just kind of thrown in there, casually, like nothing. And we're just not supposed to react to this in any way, and it's not commentary of any kind. We're just supposed to go, oh yeah, that's totally fine. And I'm guessing that somebody on the publishing side did get on Martha Wells about this, because the later books just kind of casually drop it and never bring it up again, ever. After we were explicitly told that over and over again that Balm is Jade's favorite warrior, explicitly meaning they are having sex together, even though they are sisters. This is no commentary on their culture at all. It is not any kind of exploration of their culture at all. It's just casual incest thrown in there with nothing attached to it at all. Nothing. And then it just gets quietly pushed under the rug by never being brought up ever again, because I'm guessing at least one editor caught on to that and said, hey, what the fuck is this? Why are you doing this? You need to stop doing that. Just don't bring that up ever again. Let's hope people don't notice and forget you did that. because it just doesn't come up again. To the point, kind of hilariously, that the people who love this book series and claim to have read it millions of times will insist that that never happened. It's like, guys, you're lying. It's right there. We are explicitly told she's Jade's favorite, and we all know what that means. It literally, they don't use it for multiple meanings. It doesn't mean BFFs. It explicitly means the sexual relationship that a royal Ariat, royal winged person, is expected to have. And it's just there for nothing. And as you may be able to fucking guess, there is in fact a massive imbalance of power between a queen of any kind and any other member of the colony, because the queens are the cult leaders. They are the ones who literally have the ability to brainwash everyone around them. They have the ability to control whether or not you can shapeshift, and they have the ability to control fertility. So, and we're just told that warriors are all infertile. Never given any explanation for why that would be, especially because female warriors presumably still have breasts. And they have all of the other equipment, but we're just told that they are infertile for no good reason, and it kind of accidentally implies that because we're never given any explanation or just any basic proof that this is true, it's kind of accidentally implying that queens, because, okay, this stupid world building, there are two species that make up the Raksura. There are the Ariat, the winged people, who enslave the Arbora, the non-winged people. They're both shapeshifters who transform between a dragony / lizardy shape with scales and a tail, or wings and a tail if you're an Ariat, just a tail if you're an Arbora, and humany probably just exactly looking like humans form. We never get a single fucking description because it's badly written. Yeah, so we're told that there are two types of Ariat. There are warriors, and then there are royalty. The thing we're told that differentiates the two is that the royalty are fertile, and the warriors are infertile. A thing that makes you a consort instead of just a male warrior, we're told, is that consorts have black scales. And queens have very colorful scales, and then they also have an extra pattern of another color over top of that. It's just described as webbing. We never get any detailed explanation or examination of this, even though the protagonist's sexual partner is a queen, so you'd think we'd at least get some cutesy cuddling moments because we're supposed to ship them even though they literally don't even like each other. You think they would at least have some moments where they're cuddling and Moon is just like examining her scales and tracing the pattern on her scales or something like that. No, we don't even get that. Because why should we describe things when we can just force the audience to use their imagination and make everything up themselves instead? Yeah, the actual accidental implication here, with everything that we know the queens can do, which I literally can't stress enough, includes literal brainwashing abilities to make you not want to leave. And they can also just stop you from shapeshifting, and they can control their own fertility. The implication here, entirely by accident, is that they're just deciding among themselves which babies are pretty enough to be considered queens, and which ones are just pretty enough to be considered royalty, and then they just literally control the fertility of the other ones whose colors they don't like, and say that they're just naturally infertile because they're warriors. It's That's the implication. That's what happens when you give one person in your society literal brainwashing, mind control powers, and also the ability to control fertility in themselves and the ability to physically alter the way other people can function. That's the accidental implication. But we're not supposed to think about it this deeply to come to this conclusion because we're not supposed to use our brains. Just go along with everything the author tells us. Just accept it as totally normal that Jade, the second most powerful person in the entire cult, it's totally normal that she's just having sex with her sister, who is of lower rank than her, and could literally just be being brainwashed into it because that's a power Jade has. And, like, Martha Wells does not present the literal ability to brainwash people as scary. It's just considered normal, and in the later books, she just kind of also tries to brush that under the rug and tries to retroactively claim that it's not as brainwashy as it actually is. It's not a big deal. You shouldn't be scared of it or think it's a problem that they have this power at all. Just don't think about it. That's Martha Wells just fundamentally doesn't want you to actually think about the stories she's writing. She wants you to praise them, yes, but she doesn't want you to fucking think about them. And as I've said, this is why she goes out of her way to make up confusing terms. This is why she refers to Murderbot and the other cyborgs, which she has confirmed is in fact the correct fucking term. This is why she refers to them as constructs instead of any established words that everybody already understands. Because she doesn't want you to think about the implications that these people being cyborgs brings to the table as opposed to them being actual robots. Because if they're robots, it's one thing, and it's all bad. But if they're cyborgs, that's a completely fucking separate thing, and it's even worse. It shouldn't be possible for it to get worse, but it's worse now. Because, okay, fine, robots. Why would you give a robot genitals? Unless you want them to specifically reproduce. So, that's one thing. But now they're cyborgs, and they don't have genitals, unless they're sex slaves. That's a whole other fucking ballgame now, because now you're saying that the constructs, which is the word she uses specifically to avoid you thinking about it, now this means that these cyborgs had to have been mutilated as children to have no genitalia as adults and to have lived their whole lives knowing nothing different. That's what that means. You can't, there's no other option there. Because Murderbot never talks about its childhood. It never talks about a time when its body was different. So it literally had to have grown up always like this, which means they have to be mutilating literal newborn babies. Or at least babies, like toddlers, before they're old enough to really form any memories. And considering they are capable of altering your brain, they could just erase your memories of these times. Especially because your brain wouldn't be developed enough to hold on to even residual memories, which is, we're told, what Murderbot is dealing with after the massacre at Ganaka Pit that we weren't given any proof it was actually at. Even though Martha Wells went out of her way to make us doubt that it was there, and then she didn't actually give us any conclusive proof that it was. And we're just supposed to act like the mystery is solved, even though it wasn't a mystery to begin with. But, yeah, anyways, my laptop is hot. This is an hour and 44 minutes long. I'll just end this video now so my laptop can go to fucking sleep and cool the fuck down, because it's so annoying. Like, the keyboard itself is hot. And the fans are not turning on because it sucks. Don't buy this computer. Okay, that's it. Bye-bye.